Welcome to the Shattering the Stereotypes podcast, where our intention is to empower Black men to live extraordinary lives. You see, there's never been a shortage of Black role models. There's only been a lack of exposure of those role models. So the intention of this program is to shine the light on the brothers who are doing incredible things in the world. And one of those men is a guy named Carl Jackson, who's joining me today. So Carl, how you doing today?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Oh, fantastic, man. Really looking forward to the conversation. And so first of all, I want to start with a few icebreaker questions just to let the audience get to know a little bit about Carl. So first of all, where are you from?
So I was born in Fayetteville, North Carolina, but raised in Georgetown, South Carolina. My father was in the Army, so, moved around here and there, whatever, but that's where my roots are.
All right, Carolina man. So tell us a little bit about your family, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Both of my parents was actually from the same town in Georgetown. I grew up around both my grandparents, a lot of cousins and things like that. Coming up, both my parents worked on and off. My father was in the military, so we moved here and there. I had the opportunity to see a lot of different cultures and things like that, and be around a lot of different people, which kind of shaped who I am today. And it just made it easier to adapt and move on to different things as you grow older. Fast forward now, and I'm in Houston. When I moved here, it was for a different opportunity. I had no family here, things like that. So just coming up in that lifestyle was like, all right, well, I've been there before, I've had to start over before. So it just made it easier to make that transition.
Nice. Now, I want you to think about a woman who inspires you. Name that woman.
My mother. So she had three boys to deal with. So when my father was either off in the field or having to go, he had to go to Iraq the first time and things like that. She had to deal with us, and we weren't always easy to deal with. So she had to make sure that we still kept up with those same values that that we had to that we were brought up with. And I remember there's times when my dad was coming back. And then it just hit us then, like, oh man, we that's our mom. Like, yeah, were we good this time? Like, just trying to make sure we weren't gonna get in trouble. So she had to, be strong for that, and especially, you're dealing with three crazy boys that just got into whatever. So it was it was different.
Yeah, nothing like that mother's love, though, man. I tell you, nothing like that mother's love. Now, name a book that has a positive impact on your life.
One of my favorite books was Gooseberries by Anton Chekhov. It was about a guy that his brother wanted to deal with, take on more than he should have. It was more so of trying to deal with the circumstances as they come and understand what your situation is and things like that. Outside of that, one of the other things that got me sort of on the route that I am on now is Powernomics by Dr. Clive Anderson, which deals with, trying to make sure you're more of a producer than a consumer. So like this year for me was more so being more of a producer, right? Because if you're always consuming, when the world changes and things like that, then you can never you're falling behind if you're always consuming, right? You know what I'm saying? When things change, you have no way to make income if you're not out, if you're put outside the current job you're in. If everybody's relying on people to do other things, then you're one of those ones that has to rely on other people instead of making people rely on you. So just sort of helping that mindset change.
Yeah, that's a powerful mindset to have. Now, if you like movies, name a movie that you love.
One of my favorites, little known, is The Program. It's a football movie. Used to watch that a lot coming up because I played football, so I used to watch that before a game just to get hyped up. I would say that's one of my most watched movies.
Okay, so what does Carl Jackson do for fun?
I'm easygoing. I'm laid back. I pretty much do what comes up, what I feel like doing at the time. I'm an introvert. I'm introverted at that. But I have 5 acres north of Houston that I go out to every now and then, do some work out there. Outside of that, I love doing things with kids. And it's more so of, kids don't. They say it's easier to teach kids than to repair broken men. And so, you kind of get into that where, saying you can teach kids, to have a more open mind, right? We're brought up where, you know, you're in school and it's like the teaching is always this, and this, and they don't really tell you, oh, there's other resources out here about what we're teaching you that you can go ahead and expand your mind and learn about other things. So it's just more of giving them that opportunity to say, hey, yeah, we're teaching you this, but at the same time, just a whole vast world out there for you to go explore and learn other things other than what you're ingrained to be thought.
Right.
Now.
Now, there are some people who are pessimistic about the future. And then there's others like myself who actually are pretty optimistic about the future. So where do you fall on the spectrum between optimism and pessimism for the future in general? Where do you fall?
I'm a pretty optimistic person. I'm one of the ones where I don't get stressed out. So I control what I can control. And if I can't control it, then, you know what I'm saying, just let it play out to see where it goes, right? Because if the whole thing about the pessimistic thing is everybody's always trying to control the things that they can't. And then you just be stressed out and strung out on things that really you can't really have any influence on. So I try to make sure I put my foot in the things that I can influence it to create that optimistic outcome that I'm looking for.
Nice, nice. Now, I want you to imagine that I have this magic wand, and I'm gonna give Carl this magic wand, and with this magic wand, you can create anything your heart desires. So if I gave you that magic wand, what would your life look like 20 years from now?
Huh. That's a good one. I think the magic wand would actually have me, you know, I have this idea that of owning a block, right? Reshaping a block in a neighborhood and helping bring a neighborhood back up with more affluent shops, things like that, without actually driving people out of the neighborhood and making it more livable, like changing the environment a little bit too. So it's more so, you know, doing that and then bringing in other businesses that help build up that neighborhood, while you put some of that money back into and keep recycling it back into it to build it back up some more. So I think that's where I would end up with that magic wand.
Now see, that's a good use of a magic wand. That's a good use. Now, you're launching a company called the Black Bear Brigade, which we're going to be talking about in a moment. Right. But first of all, I want to talk about your position as a software release and program manager. So tell us a little bit about what that does, what that is.
So right now, and that's actually how I ended up in Houston. They were looking for somebody to handle the system that only a handful of people in the country are actually able to handle. It is the TFS admin system. And so they were looking around and they had a hard time finding somebody, and I interviewed for it. And they ended up moving me down here. So what it is, you know how, like all the basically think about the software that you deal with now, right? If you ever thought about, you know, how does this get built? How does this animated software or this program or this video game come together, and how does it make it available to play? Like you hear about programming, then all of a sudden you see this thing on your screen, right? So basically I help the developers help with the infrastructure that developers use to get all that software packaged into one small, you know, program, install, exe, whatever you want to call it, and to install on your computer, to insert it into your game console or whatever. And then, you know, so you can play the programs that you play, build the software you want to build, you know, like the Zoom software, you know, things to launch like that. So it's all about just a system to where the source code that they're using is compiled and built out to create the programs that we use every day. And on top of that, I make sure I manage the schedules that we have to say, all right, well, our customers want this software we need to have the software to these customers by this date or this time frame. So let's back into that date. You know, we need to get marketing involved. We need to get support involved so they can know when customers call in what they're dealing with. QA needs to test, things of that nature. So I make sure that everybody is in lockstep with what's going on throughout the business. So I touch every part of the business. And since I had started doing that, I created a lot of the processes that they didn't have before, to say, all right, well, we need to have a regular cadence. We need to have a better schedule of how we're doing this and improving the communication, because one department doesn't know what another department is doing, right? So it was closing that communication gap that I actually helped with that process for. So with that, I ended up becoming the program manager as well, where any project that's run through the business, whether it's through our software engineering side where we create programs for customers, or whether it's internal projects that we're leading, I help maintain those projects on the same schedule they're supposed to be on. Everybody's aware of what's going on. I run a lot of the meetings that bring all those people together for the heads of each department, all the people we call stakeholders, and say, all right, well, this team needs to have this. They're going to have this by this date. When can you have your piece to tie into this, and then we can move forward. So it's just a lot of barking at people, or say, I need this, I need this. Hey, you need to get this over this person right here, and then setting and making sure that I'm always ahead of everybody else's needs. And that's a lot of it. Is just strategic planning. It's knowing, okay, this is coming up. All right, this other team is going to need these eventually, and prioritize from there. I'm working on other things, but at the same time, I have to be aware of everything else that's going on, so I can say when somebody else is having a conversation, I can say, hey, oh yeah, I'm aware of this, and this is being taken care of on this end, and then you'll need to do this afterwards, or we want to do it by this date. No, we can't do it by this date because this, and this is actually happening, or this team will be out for a conference, and so that impact that. So I'm always having to be aware of everybody's dates, what everybody's moves are, and things like that. So it's interesting, and it's never the same thing every day. So I'm not getting tied down with tedious tasks every day. So it's been fun.
Nice. Now, tell us about the internship program that you created, which is geared towards supporting students' goals in computer science.
When I moved here 3 years ago, it was in the back of my mind. One of the reasons why I came here, I was dealing with the old VP of engineering, and after conversations with him before I came, I was kind of like, oh, I can do a lot of things if I go there. And one of the things I wanted to do was an internship program. And it's something that I never took advantage of when I was in school. So I saw there was a gap in what was being taught to kids in school versus what was actually needed in the workforce and things like that. So after I did what he really needed me to do when I came here, I kind of told him, I said, I want to do an internship program, for engineering and see how that goes. And he was like, oh, well, I was already looking into that, but you can run it if you want to. So as soon as he said that, I was like, boom, it was like a Wednesday. That Saturday, I went home, I did all the paperwork for it. I started putting paperwork together, doing a lot of research. I have a friend who's big in HR out in North Carolina. I emailed her some information. I was like, look, this is what I'm putting together. You know what I'm saying? She helped me tweak it and make sure everything sounded right, things like that. I take it back to him probably about a week later. He looks at it, he sends it over to HR. HR asked me to change like 2 things on there. I had created a non-paid internship format and a paid internship format. They had me tweak 2 things on there, and that was it. So then, we started bringing in high school kids. At the time, there was a program called EFTA where they actually ran internships for seniors in high school. So I created that from there, where I brought in, I think, 3 or 4 students that year. We ended up paying high school kids that year. And normally through that program, it's just a 2-week internship. They don't get paid. It's for the experience, so they can understand, I want to go into this field. How will this work? Gain some knowledge, whether they want to pivot or something like that. So after that, the next year, I started with the college. I started bringing in college students because the previous year was too late to bring in college. School was already pretty much out by the time I moved here or whatever. So we started doing that. So fast forward 4 summers later, I've had over 50 interns come in between high school and college. I even had one actually get a dental internship this past year. But I've been doing it for our engineering department and marketing. So marketing has had a few. And for the high school, you have to come in for a minimum of 80 hours to qualify for your school and through the program that EFTA runs. And then after that, if you want to stay longer, if you've been doing great work, then I say, hey, we have a spot. Do you want to stay through the rest of the summer? And, it's summertime. They want to have fun. So it's kind of like, if you have vacation with the family, take your vacation. You can come back, whatever. You're not tied down to say, hey, you have to be here every day. So we try to work with them like that. The same thing with the college students. The college students are always paid. We do it like that to make sure that they're paid and things like that. After the first year of college students, one of my interns actually got hired on, So when I bring in other college students that say, oh, I need a place to live, I pass them on to him. Hey, man, I got another guy I need you to talk to. They're asking me about housing. I still don't know the housing stuff around here. So I was like, yeah, he's like, oh, yeah. So he's always grateful to do that stuff. He went to U of H. So, and it's coming up to the area that we're in, it's kind of separated mileage-wise, a good distance from where some of the schools are. So it's kind of hard for some of the interns, even in college, wanted to say, all right, well, I want to drive these 2 hours every day to go take this internship and things like that. So he helps me find them closer housing and things like that, so they can take these internships. And it's been pretty good. I say I've had over 50 interns, and I've only had 2 that really didn't meet the expectations that were needed. And the way I set it up is, I meet with them once a week or once every other week to just have a general conversation. It's a internship type thing. So we talk about life. We talk about how the internship is going. I make sure that they, any other resources they want to talk about, or anybody else they want to have a conversation with, I get them set up with meetings to talk to other people about either that type of work or a different type of work. And then we do the evaluations of the company and the evaluations of them, just to get that 360 feedback going. And it's just it's all around good vibes, man. It's been working so far. So I'm trying to expand that a little bit too, and try to bring in different kids and even get them to other companies as well that can help them out with, medical and things like that. Because we have a lot of kids that are trying to get internships in there too. So.
Well, that's definitely commendable, man, and that's why I'm so glad to have you on this program, because you're shattering the stereotypes about us supporting each other and us going out there and making a difference in the community and bringing people in to watch them grow. So now you're also an active volunteer for the Education for Future Tomorrow Alliance. So what do you do for that organization?
So our relationship actually started when I first moved here. It was weird. We got the interns from them the first time for the high school ones, and then they have these programs that go throughout the year where you go to schools, you talk to kids about choices, you talk to kids about how their decisions affect their future, going forward and things like that. You talk to them about whether they, whether college is for them or if they need to do a trade or something like that. College isn't for everybody. We always say, hey, you need to go to college to do this. So when they first started doing it, they had this format where it's like, well, you want to have this type of lifestyle. Okay, well, you need this level of education. And that's how they formatted was, all right, well, I want to make this much money. I want this type of car. I want this type of house. Okay, we need to be a doctor. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that doesn't, saying there's other ways to get there without saying I need to go ahead and pay for 10 years of college to say, to be a doctor, to get my doctorate, right? Because even that's not even, depending on what you're doing, that doesn't even help these days. So it was revised to say, all right, well, how do you know which route is best for you, right? And then it talks about, so we have this thing that's kind of like the shape of Texas. And it's kind of like, all right, you're going down this path. Oh, sometimes you might veer off over here, but at the same time, you're coming back around. You might make it to the same path eventually. You just didn't take the same path that everybody else took. So it's having that conversation, say, not everybody takes the same path. And there's another program we do where it's mock interviews. So we have kids as part of this program that come in. There's 2 styles that we do. You do the whole interview format with a certain amount of kids, and then you say, all right, well, then you rank the ones what you want to hire, rank the ones that you would hire, and then also critique, this is what you need to work on to improve your interview skills and things like that. At the same time, there's another style where you get one question, and there's probably like 10 other people doing interviews, and everybody has one piece of each question. So they go around to different tables. You have that conversation. You ask them different things, like you ask them whatever question that you have for that, and kind of go from there to get them used to just interview styles and things like that. And then they also have a science fair that's pretty huge, where it's I believe it's like 1st through 12th grade, maybe all the kids that enter that. So I've been a judge of that a couple of times as well, which is you see kids doing a lot of really neat things in that science fair too, things that you didn't even think of. And I remember the first year I did it, there was these 2 kids that was probably like 4 tables apart from each other, and they had different pieces that could have tied into each other that they could have done something larger with. And when I talked to the second one, I was like, man, y'all really need to have a conversation about the stuff that you guys are doing, because y'all can do something really cool with this right here, And so they got to talking and stuff like that. I didn't follow up with this. I don't know how far that went, but you can kind of see the connections of different things that kids are doing. And they were from two totally different schools and things like that. So it's been pretty neat though.
Nice. All right, so now we want to jump into the Blackbeard Brigade.
Okay.
I know you have a vision of creating this amazing program, company, whatever you want to call it. So tell us a little bit about the Blackbeard Brigade and what it does.
All right, so Blackbeard Brigade is health and beauty service on the front, where we provide natural products to men for their beard. So we have oils, balms, butters, and then we also have the right types of brushes and the right types of combs that you're supposed to be using, because a lot of times, when I say the right types, it's because with the brushes, synthetic hair brushes actually aren't good for you. And then with the combs, wood combs are better than the plastic combs or the metal combs, because those actually cause ingrown hairs when you're combing, because it actually pulls on your hair. So it's kind of, providing the right types of things that you need to cut down on some of the issues that we're having. And the company really came from me and one of my buddies. We got tired of going around and buying products that really didn't work. Not all products work for our type of skin, things like that. So it was that, and then, or you find the right product, the company might not last long, or in one of the companies I was using, they didn't last long only because of their customer service. They had a great product, but you would always see reviews, their customer service is terrible, And outside of that, they were great. Everybody loved them. So then they kind of ended up falling off because people got tired of their customer service. And then you would get, and for me, I have a sensitive nose, so certain products I can't use after a while throughout the day. The smell gives me headaches. There's been times where I have products in me and I have to come home and just wash it out because I'm itching and stuff like that. I'm like, it's supposed to prevent me from itching, things like that. So it's cutting down on that. At the same time, it's promoting loving yourself, loving your community. And what that is taking care of yourself, healthier lifestyles. There's things like how testosterone level and how you take care of yourself actually goes into your skincare and how your hair grows as well, right? So understanding how all that stuff goes in together, what you put on your skin, what you put in your body affects your hair growth, the way your skin ages as you get older and things like that. It helps make the transition through life easier, right? There's less issues that you face later on. There's less times you have to go to the doctor for certain things. So it's actually kind of bringing that in. So on top of that, one of the things I want to do is actually team up with people in the medical industry and things like that, and have more of those conversations so they can actually relate that more than I do, right? Because I know the hair care and the beard stuff and the skin stuff like that, but the deep dive and the part that they've been studying for years, that's that's more of their expertise, and just having somebody say, explain a lot of that stuff better than I can, instead of me just regurgitating that. The love in the community piece is, we take proceeds from the sales that we get and actually help build the foundation of the community, right? So we recycle that back into the community. So there's actually one nonprofit out there called Own the Vision. What they do is they are helping with some of the HBCUs, and what they do is instead of just giving them money, it's more so of, here's some money. Also, let's analyze how you can use this better than what you've been doing before, right? Instead of just passing money to people and saying, all right, have this money, now hopefully you do something great with this. So it's more, so what we're doing is we're giving money to people that's actually trying to help build that foundation up, to make that foundation stronger. So as everything else grows, that with that strong foundation, everything else is great as it gets bigger, right? So you have that hierarchy and that as you're building up. That infrastructure. So it's not just piping money into just needless programs and things like that. It's having that conversation of, we want to have, you want to do this. All right, here's the money. Now let's talk about how we're going to get this done. In my background as a program manager, and understanding how schedules are supposed to work, having to analyze and do project charts and things like that actually helps with that conversation, because I've had to do strategic planning. I've had to figure out, how to resolve certain situations, resolve issues that pop up and things like that. and really understand how everything is working. And so that kind of helps with that conversation as we're moving forward. So when you get with the Black Beard Brigade, you know, it's more so, it's not just about us as the company. We're not there just trying to get everybody, you know, get rich. This is actually a way for me to fund other programs I want to fund and create other sources of income to fund those, instead of just always having to come out of pocket and trying to figure out how I'm gonna get money into this, how I'm gonna get money into this. So this helps me create another stream of income that helps fund other programs, other initiatives, and create that more philanthropic effort that we all, that a lot of us strive to create and help build that foundation of our community.
So tell us about the products themselves. So what exactly do you sell?
All right, so we have the beard oils. So the beard oils are created in the way, so there's two types you can do. You can do the ones that actually hydrate the skin, or you do the ones that actually make your beard a lot smoother, a lot healthier and things like that. So we use the beard oil to actually attack the skin, remove some of the impurities from the skin, and then take, you know, just make sure like the foundation of your skin and can keep that healthy, right? And then we have butter, beard butter and beard balm. And so those actually can help condition the hairs, make that softer, you know, make it less coarse, and make it healthier, so you're not always itching. So, you know, you have that thing you call beard drug, right? So I got this black shirt on now, so if I was going like this, you might, if I wasn't noisy, you'd have all these flakes all over your shirt. You'd be brushing your shirt all day, you know, just trying to brush that shit off. So a lot of it's really just making that healthier and making sure that your skin is healthy, it's not as flaky. One of the things that we added to it as well as a face and beard wash. And with this one, I actually had to get testing help from women, because, you know, they're used to like the activated charcoal mask and things like that. Like as a man, like I've never used it before, so I don't know how it's supposed to work. Like I know how things are supposed to work, but is it actually working? Like I can't really tell. So we created this this face and beard wash that actually helps detox the skin, remove the impurities from the skin, and you know, just help cleanse the pores and things like that. And so I had a couple of female friends of mine actually try that out to see, you know, all right, you know, I think it's working, but is this really working, right? So then they tried it out and they were like, yeah, this is pretty good. I had somebody actually take a whole shower with it. I'm like, that wasn't the purpose, but that's cool. I'm glad that worked for you too. So now I know, right? So it helps. It's just all about helping remove a lot of impurities that we take in day to day. Like one of the things is like with the beard and the beard hair, the facial hair in general, it actually is a protecting where it protects you from a lot of the things that are in the air during the day as you're breathing in, right? The like with the pollen or some of the pollution, some of the germs that's going around every day, it actually gets trapped in your beard, so you don't actually breathe that stuff in. So that's a way to actually cleanse some of that stuff back out and make sure it's not getting into your system to keep you from getting sick and things like that. And then the beard oil, beard balm, and beard butters are on top of that actually help nourish the skin with all the natural oils and things like that. You know, we use the coconut oil, tea tree oil, and different types of natural things that come from the environment that have different usage. And we also display pictures of each ingredient, as well as what each ingredient is for on the webpage. You can actually see what those things look like in nature.
Now, so how do you have a chemist that helps you put all this together? How do you figure all this out? I mean,
so a lot of this was actually going through the last few years since I've grown a beard. It was kind of that research I was doing where, all right, this isn't working. Like, why is my face all just? I want to cut this off, you know? And it's kind of like, all right, let me find a product. And so you start looking into products and things like that. So I had a basic idea of what product was what type of natural plants help do things. And the other thing is on the side, I actually plant things like vegetables and things like that. So I kind of, you know, have knowledge of some of that stuff anyway, growing peppers and things like that I learned from my father. So it was having that knowledge. And then my partner, he came to me because he was having the same issues. And he was like, man, my brother-in-law, he does these beard butters and healing balms and things like that, where he actually created one that helped with his niece's eczema, right? So it helped just clear that stuff up. So I'm like, oh, okay. So then I started really researching in there because I'm like, if I'm telling somebody what I need or what I want, I need to have, I make sure I can communicate what I need anyway. And he sent that first batch over to us. And I went through my normal routine of how I tried things out to see how it's going to work for me and how it works for my body and things like that, where I do a combination of the oil, then I do the oil and the butter together or oil and the balm together and see how that works throughout the day. And I was like, man, he got this right on the first time. Like, okay, we can work with him. So we started doing that, and we fine-tuned that first one, which is our premium classic beard line. And it kind of went from there. So we did that. Then we was talking about having a second scent. The second scent we have is a Tanzanian sun, which is has like a tropical element to it. Summery feel. It's real nice. Everybody loves that. But the one thing was the wash, where you can have a wash, because just like your hair, you don't want to wash your hair, your beard hair, or your hair on your head every day, right? So it's kind of going through there where, all right, do we want to create something that's more of that detox that you're doing, you do it once, maybe twice a week, or do you want to create something that you want to use 3 to 4 times a week? And so for the first go around for the wash, we decided to do the 1 time a week thing where it helps just cleanse your system. You had that long weekend of doing partying or yard work, or whatever, cleanse them impurities out of there, and then, start your week off right. So I did some more research as far as, like a lot of the masks that women use. So I was like, well, the base for this is going to be activated charcoal, which is good for impurities, green tea oil, which is good for hydrating the skin, also cleansing, and then green tea in general is actually just good for you, So added that in. And then coconut oil, which is also something that's very good and hydrate your skin, and things like that. So those are the 3 keys to that base that I was like, all right, well, after doing some research, these are the 3 main ingredients that I want in there, so let's turn that into, that face and beard wash, that's going to be that 1 time a week usage entity that you have in your arsenal, to create a healthier lifestyle. And so he went to work on that, and came up with something that worked out rather well, that I had tested on myself and several people, as far as making sure, all right, is this the desired effect? Is this something that you would get from one of them normal face washes or the face mask that you go to the spa to get, right? Especially because a lot of times you have those things by themselves, how they sell them or how they do them at the spa. So when you combine them together, you're expecting different results. At the same time, are those results really the desired effect that you need, and are there any side effects at all? So just kind of working that stuff out and making sure that what we created was just top of the line, and something that we can really work with. So it's kind of work from there.
Now, you mentioned earlier that the plastic and the metal combs weren't good for the beard. You mentioned wooden combs,
right?
Different types of brushes. So do you sell those types of things also?
Oh, absolutely. So we have with the brushes. I started off with the boar's hair brushes until I was talking to another guy that's been trying to buy some stuff from me, and he's Muslim. Boar's pig. So I had to go, and I was like, you know what, man? I saw some horsehair brushes, and I didn't really think about that. So I added boar's hair and horsehair brushes. The thing about it is, some people prefer boar's hair because it's tougher. And they like the the tougher bristle on their face, as opposed to the softer one, which is horsehair. But depending on your culture, you can't use that one, so you have to use the horsehair or whatever. So we carry both of those. The synthetic brushes don't really carry the oils through your beard the way they should be, because they don't lock on to the hairs, which closely resembles the actual human hair. And that's how that gets distributed through your skin. Through your hair. So if you have shorter hair, then it's easier to use a brush to distribute that oil as you put that stuff in and stuff like that. So that's why you stay away from synthetic. With the plastic combs, when they cut those out, there's little edges on there that you don't really see that get caught in your hair, and sometimes you get that pulling, but you don't see anything on there. Well, that little split on the teeth of those plastic combs are actually pulling your hair, and it causes people to have a lot of ingrown hairs, and they don't know why they have these ingrown hairs, right? So it's kind of, let me throw these plastic combs out the way. The metal combs, they look cool. You can machine them any way you want to, but at the same time, it's some of the same effect to it, and they don't distribute the same way that the wooden combs do. So we have these sandalwood combs that we have created, and that helps distribute the hairs correctly through your skin. Through your hair, and then it helps. And it just, especially when you have a longer beard, it just helps with that longer beard that you have, and going from there. So it was a lot of, and I had been actually using the wooden comb for the longest time. And the best thing about those too is they actually get better with age. As that oil gets on there and you combing it through your hair, it actually picks up some of that scent, and you get this nice, cool, woodsy type scent or whatever. That's kind of like that. It's better than that new car smell, right? And you know what I'm saying? And you kind of get that, going with it. And it actually conditions the comb as you use it anyway, so the comb should never really go bad. The only issue with the wooden combs is if you drop them from too high, you actually might break the teeth on it, because I actually broke one of the teeth on mine.
Gotcha. Well, obviously there's a lot that goes into all this. So let's talk about the psychology though, because I know there's still a lot of men that don't take care of themselves, and they think that, grooming and taking care of our skin, that's something women do. For example, I got to be honest with you. I actually had my first manicure about a week ago. There was a part of me, for whatever reason, just wasn't comfortable getting my fingernails done, right? So there was just this masculine thing in my head that that's not what guys do. But obviously there's absolutely nothing wrong with a man getting a manicure or a pedicure, actually. So how do you convince men to take better care of their skin?
And it's funny you said that, because I actually had a conversation with somebody about the manicure pedicure part not too long ago. Because actually, so I can say I've never had one of those either. But when the first time I even, so I used to play football. So there used to be guys that used to do that to keep their nails and stuff right, But one of my cousins was actually one of the first people I knew that did that. He was telling me, he's like, yeah. So I would meet up with him out of town sometimes. And he was like, oh yeah, I went to go get a manicure or a pedicure. I was waiting on you. And I kind of looked at him funny the first time I heard it. So, all right, man. So yeah, that was years ago. Like now, all right, I'm cool. But as far as the skin, so a few weeks ago, I was actually up in Indianapolis for helping another nonprofit do some assessment test stuff. And I was talking to one of my buddies I hadn't seen in a while that actually has a beard. And he was talking about how he hasn't put anything on his beard and things like that. So I started asking him, I was like, so, what do you do for your skin in general? Like, do you put lotion on your skin? You know what I'm saying? So I started explaining to him the same thing. It's kind of like the hair, the skin up under your beard is the same as your face. Like, if you're not taking care of that, then a lot of issues that you're having, like, because he was talking about, yeah, every now and then I get these patches and stuff like that. I'm like, so what are you doing? He's like, nothing. I'm like, yeah. So that's part of the problem is, like, people that can actually grow facial hair, some of the patches that they have is because either they're scratching it when it's itching, or it's coming out, and it's because they're not taking care of the foundation, right? If you're not taking care of the foundation of your skin, if you're not taking care of what you're putting in your system, then you're going to have those issues. And it's just and it's more so just relaying that message and then making them and helping them understand that, hey, you know what I'm saying, this is what the problem is. This is why you're having this problem. And then it usually kind of clicks from there. And speaking on the part, about the beard thing. So a few years ago, I actually was getting ready to cut my beard. I was in this barbershop in Atlanta, and I used to always keep this real thin, but I always had this. And so I go into the barbershop, the guy that's running it, and I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and thin me back out. And then he kind of looks at me, and dude just cussed me out. He was like, man, there's people out here, they struggling to grow beards, and you just want me to cut yours off? And he just goes on and on for about 5 minutes. So I was like, you know what, man, just leave it, man. Just go ahead and line me up, bro. So really, if it wasn't for me walking into ATL's finest that day, I probably would have never got to where I am now with starting this beard company and going from there. Because actually, I've had the beard since that time. Been growing it out since then, and it's all because this guy refused to cut my beard that day because everybody else is struggling to grow their hair or having issues growing their hair. And at that time, I really was still getting into the understanding of how to best take care of it. Once you get into that routine, it's an easy routine to keep up with. And it's really not that it's as expensive as people think it is. But at the same time, you just got to make sure you're using the right stuff to make sure you're keeping up with that foundation. It's just like putting lotion on your skin every day. You don't want to walk around ashy. So you don't want to walk around with white stuff dropping out your beard every day because, it's dry and it's all shriveled up or it's all rough and things like that.
So have you done any instructional videos?
The instructional videos, I have the notes for the instructional videos. I haven't actually done the videos yet. I'm not a huge video person, so I'm trying to get to that, to that piece to do that. So I have a lot of the material that I need to do the videos. I have created content to post on social media before that I've done. It just wasn't a video format. I'm also going to do 2 different ebooks that I provide for free as far as the telling about the different types of beard products themselves, and also how to be healthier as you're going through that journey if you're trying to, be healthy. Because one of the other things is hydration. Hydration is one of the key things that goes into that, because if your body is not hydrated, if your skin is not hydrated, then your beard is not hydrated, and you're having other issues as well with your hair might be falling out and things like that. So hydration is like a huge factor in making sure you're maintaining a healthy you in general and a healthy beard. So, it's different things like that people don't really put 2 and 2 together to realize, this is why I'm having this problem, or this is what actually will make it better for me. So it's just shedding some light on that. So I do plan on getting that. I just don't have that out there yet.
Yeah, and so let me just, as a marketer, which is my background, let me just say that right now, video is everything. Everybody's doing video, Facebook Live, but the advantage being, from your perspective, doing quick little 2 to 3 minute videos with some of the stuff that you've just shared in this seminar can teach people so much that'll sell your product.
Right.
I don't think most people be thinking, okay, so if my body's not hydrated, that can affect my beard. I don't think most people think that way. So just doing little tidbits, little 2 to 3 minute, this is why. Okay, so if your body's not hydrated, you hydrated it, your beard's gonna look better, blah, 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 blah. Here's my product. I mean, it will be an excellent opportunity for you to get exposure for your product and your services. And most people will watch a video before they'll read content.
True. You're absolutely right on that, yes.
So just keep that in the back of your mind. I think it would really serve you and your company well to create and again, they don't have to be elaborate videos. If you look at most of these YouTube, these guys are making millions of dollars in some of these YouTube videos that are really poor quality, but they know how to market it. And so it's all about the marketing. So if you can put together some series of educational videos based on, again, the knowledge that you have, because I'm sitting here just amazed at how much you know about hair and face and all that. I'm like, man, this guy needs to do some educational videos, because I know that you can build a following, because I know there are a lot of men out there who would really buy into it if they could watch and learn from you.
Yeah, definitely. And I appreciate that feedback on that. And the funny thing is, so the camera I'm talking to you on now, and I actually bought with the intent on setting up an area to do that. I've used this camera.
There you go.
So my goal will be to, on record, to have 3 videos done by the first week of August.
Perfect. I'm gonna hold you to that.
Okay.
I'm gonna hold you to that. Now, so where can people find out more about your programs and products?
So everything, a lot of stuff we actually have a blog on the website that will link to videos as well. So you don't just have to read content. It's blackbeardbrigade.com is the website. It holds the shop and everything. Blackbeard Brigade on Instagram and Facebook, and then BLK Brigade, BLK Beard Brigade on Twitter, because it was too long to put the whole thing on Twitter. Then we also actually have, just a listing on Pinterest as well that shows the products and different little styles and things like that. Then YouTube is Blackbeard Brigade as well. So everything is Blackbeard Brigade except for Twitter, which is BLK Brigade.
And also there will be links below these videos on my site. So for those who are watching, you can look below us here. You'll see the links. You can go check them out on your Black Beard Brigade. So my man Carl, any final thoughts you want to share with the audience about what we've talked about today?
One of the things that I just want to get into is, you know, as men in general, right? We have to actually evolve, and we have this thing, grow or die, evolve or evaporate. And it's more so of, you know, you have to go beyond what your normal comfort level is, go beyond what you believe or what you've heard is the norm, because who's to say what is the norm, right? There's a lot of things outside of that. And one of the things is, and I believe you touched on before, was the whole intuition, right? Women's intuition. We all have that intuition inside of us. It's more so of who is more in tune with how they are feeling to, you know what I'm saying, pick up on a lot of the different vibes that are going around. And the more of that stuff that you can pick up on, the easier it is for you to connect with other people, for you to also create different little businesses and things like that, and expand your world of knowledge, because you're not just stuck in the old way of thinking, in the old school of thought. So it's more so, you know, evolve or evaporate. If you don't evolve, you're going to get left behind as everybody else is moving forward, and you're trying to figure out, why am I stuck in the same, you know what I'm saying, the same cycle of repetitive nothing that happens with everybody else. So just make sure you understand that, and to help move forward.
Yeah, and so the whole intention of the Shattering the Stereotypes podcast is to, again, give especially men of color other ways to view the world. Because if we pay attention to the media, we're gonna have a negative mindset, which definitely can't create positive results. So we got to change our mindsets, and that's my whole mantra. And I remember what the good book said when it said, "Be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." And I believe everything begins in mind. Thoughts become things. And so we got to make sure that we're paying attention to what we're thinking and how we're thinking. So that's why I do what I do, because I want to transform the way we as men of color see ourselves. We want to change the negative media generated narrative into a powerful, positive generated narrative about how we see ourselves. So it has been my absolute pleasure, Mr. Carl, to have you on the show. And I wish you continued success in everything that you do. And I'm sure our paths will cross again in the future. So again, thank you for joining us today.
Definitely. I appreciate you having me on. I'm definitely appreciate what you're doing with the whole Shattering the Stereotypes podcast. We definitely need that in the community, to get away from that, all the negative views that we see every day. So you're greatly appreciated for that. And I appreciate you having me on today, and looking forward to seeing you again in the future.
All righty. So this concludes our episode of Shattering the Stereotypes, where we empower Black men to live extraordinary lives. We'll see you next episode. Take care.